Hey everybody, I thought I'd take a look at the CUSB Fotta vs Clapham European Open Final from the club championships held in Caorle near Venice recently. This video is going to be kind of like a quick analysis video, and my plan is to go through the first 6 points to begin with. So this will be part 1, and there will be other parts following. This game was pretty remarkable, and I won't give away why just in case anybody doesn't know the result. But it's well worth having a look at because it'll probably have ramifications with what's going to happen in the future of European Ultimate. When TC catches the disc here, he immediately pivots outwards, looks downfield, and puts in that big fake. At the moment of that big fake, the previous thrower here is actually quite free. You see, they've passed the disc, and then they've put their head down and run around there. So if his focus had been in field, this would have forced that defender to be a bit more honest. Obviously, it's a yard loser, but opens up the far side of the field. And he's got a cut here that's going deep that he sees, and so he tries to, well, he puts the fake in to get that defender biting. Yeah, now he turns for the reset. Okay, and at this point, he could complete this pass. If you imagine that this is actually the scoring end zone over here, and this is a cut going into the end zone for the score, then there's no hesitation. This is going to be an easy completion. If there's a reset option, he's less inclined to take it. The value of this pass isn't just to reduce the stall count, but also frees TC up to make a move to get the disc back in his hands. So if the pass goes over here, then TC can use this separation from his defender to just cut across and get the disc back nice and easy. There's no way that this defender is going to stop a pass going in this direction. Once TC gets the disc over here, then it opens up the entire other half of the field, and these players are immediately involved. If he makes the pass and then clears out, then this player is completely isolated, and so therefore it's not a particularly good option. So he puts a fake in here. Now the fake isn't realistic enough to get the defender properly committing, and the defender's able to then continue to shut down that player. So he looks back downfield, and by this point, the stall count's getting quite high. There's a huge amount of unused space over here, and his options are very limited to just what the players that are all the way over here can provide, and whether this player here can get free. So he sees this cut, and at the moment of making this throw, you've got two defenders that are applying pressure to it. The pivots have to be quite wide. It's right down the sideline. It's a difficult decision that he's forced into. And you can see here the poaching defender comes straight from the back. And this player at the back is 50 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards deep. And so he's not providing any option for the disc. And so his defender has the freedom to have a look at this disc and come in. He does well to avoid contact. You see he changes direction just towards the end there to avoid contact. Nice catch here from James Mead, and then throws to the poach player for the score.
He finds Toby Mine around the back. Toby Mine strikes for goal. He's got it.
Toby Mine catches the disc moving downfield. He doesn't automatically fake. He sees a reset coming behind, and before he pivots, he notices the force moves across. So if he were to pivot in this situation, that force is already kind of committed to stopping that. So if he pivoted, he'd be like stuck in a hole with the force forcing him downfield, but he's already pivoted facing completely this way. Instead, he regains his balance. And at this point, he's in a very powerful position because he's facing all of his players on the field, and he's moved his force round to be on the brakes on the dump side. So he's got this big channel here, and the cut comes directly to the open side. The force is obviously nowhere near that release, and potentially wouldn't be anyway. Let's have a look at the cutter. So this is the position right here. We've got the defender maybe slightly cheating on the positioning, reacts a fraction of a second late. But at this point, he's got two teammates here who are potentially able to cover. Maybe not so much from the back, but from the front, definitely coverage could happen. The player is, I can't tell whether they're face marking or whether they're watching the disc. They might be watching the disc. And the switch does not happen. So therefore, he's free on the front corner. If the switch had happened right now, then he could have neutralized that cut whilst this player his momentum would be carrying him towards the player that he's left. So they could just switch marks quite cleanly. Clapham come out of side stack in their second offensive point. Josh Briggs makes a really nice pass to a very tightly covered Magnus Wilson. And the defender lays out. There's also a poach. TC's poach, so he's hit immediately. TC then takes the behind pass without hesitation. Back to Magnus, he throws up the line to Parslow, takes this nice little pass through the middle to James Mead, who then again takes the reset option without really hesitating. Parslow throws to Justin Ford in the end zone, and that's the first bit of physical contact that Justin has in this game. After a couple of stoppages, Bologna have worked the disc all the way up the field, and they put the net score in thanks to Gasparini throwing this inside break. Gasparini decelerates into this catch. As he makes his move, the disc is in the air. He starts to slow down, makes the catch, and then is able to completely reverse his momentum to release the disc and actually start running in the opposite direction. Bologna come out with a zone in the next point. Briggs quickly throws a knife over the top to Justin Ford, who looks back to Briggs, and then Briggs throws a massive hammer, which really just kind of tears the defense apart. They would be in a really good position at this point, but Justin has called a foul because Davide gave him an extra little bump after he released the disc. You see Justin dumps it, there's a little bump, and then Davide steps in for a second bump. You know, it's almost like Justin was responsible for the first one, and Davide definitely then moves in for the second one. Justin angrily calls foul, turns around, gesticulates, claps his hands. That's as the disc is being thrown, so I think that throw should count, but it ended up going back. The disc comes back in with Briggs, and a turnover happens a few passes later. They're being contained by the zone now, and there's a miscommunication here as this player crashes into the cup. The pass just goes into the space when the players stop looking. So you see he crashes in, this defender stays on this side of him, and then he stops, and there is a moment there where the pass could be made. However, at this point he started to turn away, and he's actually running behind this other defender here. So the disc goes to the space that he had left. This is it's the mentality of cut and clear out, which is responsible for this, rather than let's just try and complete a pass, because moving the disc is a good thing. This is combined with the thrower glancing away at a critical moment, possibly to move the defenders, but this sends a miscommunication to his teammate. Bologna pick up the disc and move it quickly, not really giving Clapham a chance to set their defense. The final throw into the end zone is contested with an amazing bid from Conrad, but before we look at that in more detail, let's look again at how Bologna move the disc. They don't spend any time looking at the end zone waiting for anything to develop. They're not waiting for players to set up, they're just getting the disc moving, changing the angle of attack, opening up many options. You can see this bid from Conrad. It's pretty much the same frame from every camera angle that they catch it in. Bologna bring the disc in just outside the end zone. Davide makes a cut from the middle to receive the disc, and he doesn't waste any time looking into the end zone and faking. You see, he immediately pivots inwards rather than out around the outside. A lot of players would look around into this area, pivot out for the flick on that side, but Davide just immediately looks infield for the backhand. The throw isn't as good as it could have been. It could have easily been caught over here, which would have opened up more options. But disc is kept alive and Bologna remain threatening. There's a fake to the swing and then a throw to the open side. See where the cut comes from. It's this separation here. I think the defender just maybe takes an eye off and catches that fake. And then they get beaten by a step, and it's too late by that point. Clapham brick the next pull. Briggs brings it in and swings it to a poached player. But Bologna are kind of stifling them. They don't have a huge amount going on until Briggs hucks it deep down the sideline, squeezes the disc into the end zone to Conrad. You can see that when he makes this pass, it's actually to Conrad's original deep cut. He goes deep there, but then as Briggs is winding up, Conrad actually pulls out of that cut and starts coming under as the disc is being released. And so that's why it was a bit of a stretch for Conrad. If the disc had been thrown to that initial deep cut, I think the defender would have had a bid on it. Either way, it's an incredibly tight space. I mean, it's a very, very accurate throw. It's one that Bologna were trying to stop Clapham from doing. So, it's very reliable for Briggs to throw that. But it's incredibly difficult to throw. So the margins are very small here. The throw comes right from the sideline. The catch is next to the sideline. It's just in the fingertips. It's the kind of completion which you're not going to be able to do every single point of the game. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like and subscribe on YouTube. Also check out my Instagram, Twitter and Facebook page to hear about part 2, which should be coming next. Bye bye.